About 40 minutes. It's little time to try and enumerate or present to you Strategy 2032. It's indeed not vision. It's actually strategy, because vision and strategy are two different English words. Strategy basically is to put in place means and ways of achieving a certain goal. Vision is what you visualize in your mind. It's like a dream, what you want to be after a certain time. So this is Strategy 2032. And before we delve into Strategy 2032, just a small history of how this activity was born. Now, all of you know that our glorious movement was started in the year 1922 by a young man, Paul William Alexander. I'm sure most of you do not know that Paul William Alexander, at the time of starting Wise Men, was only 34 years. So sometimes when I hear the young people complaining they don't have somebody to hold their hand into the mainstream Wise Men, I don't know who held Paul William Alexander as a young person into Wise Men, or to thinking even the idea of Wise Men. This revolves around young people being focused and being resilient enough to come up and rise beyond just being youth, especially when you are beyond 25 years. Start thinking like a wise man. Start thinking big and start moving mountains. Now, Paul William Alexander in Toledo, Ohio, USA, started the Wise Men. Then he was a prison judge of the Children's High Court, and had just retired from the mainstream YMCA board. And having retired, he wondered what to do next. And this is how Wise Men was born. Rounded up a few people, and they formed the YMI, Wise Men International, to really just keep himself busy. It blossomed, and today is one of a monolith organization that augments the activities of YMCA. Now, having said that, Wise Men was not going to be a stagnant or moribund organization. It was one that was evolving with time. As time moved on, it changed, it evolved, and it reshaped, and it re-engineered itself, and it refocused itself, and established itself within the paraframes of the times at that time. And in 2009, there was this push to come up with something to celebrate 100 years of this movement. 100 years, that is 2022. And the vision or Strategy 2022 was born then, where international council members and eminent past leaders were rounded up together to come up with a roadmap that will reshape this movement in that as we hurtled towards the end of that century. 2022 marked 100 years of birth of the movement, and that is how Vision or Strategy 2032 was also mooted, because we realized that what next after 2022? We are now hurtling into the next century, and we needed to have a roadmap where we shall also round up this movement, propagate it, and move towards the second century, and for another 10 years. And this is how Strategy 2032 was mooted. Now, what is Strategy 2032? Strategy 2032 provides a 10-year blueprint to build YMI International into an organization eminent in fellowship and community impact, collectively inspired and working collaboratively to help build an equitable and sustainable world. It affirms our desire to thrive collectively and to make an enduring and positive difference in the world as we enter our second century existence. What we are saying here is the movement must be positioned in line with advancements, in line with what is happening, and in line with the evolutions of the second century. How will it reposition itself? And on that strategy, the movement then came up with three major areas of focus. That was fellowship, community impact, equitable and sustainable work. Now, when we talk of fellowship, and that is the main cornerstone and the essence of our movement, fellowship is bringing ourselves together as friends, as colleagues, as family, and generally as good citizens of this country. We must then coalesce together in a way of fellowship to move to the next level. We must also impact the community. And yesterday we deliberated a lot on how we can make the movement visible, how we can be known outside there. When we don pendants, when we don badges, people should not see us as a cult. People should not see us as an enclosed cocoon of people assembling together with a certain hidden agenda. We must enshrine ourselves outside, and we must also rise above the waters and create an impact in the community where we must be known who we are, what we do, and what are we offering for the community. We must also be equitable, distribute the resources that we have, distribute also ourselves in terms of whatever abounds within ourselves, and whatever we do must be sustainable. And that is why Strategy 2032 has aligned itself with the 17 SDGs, that is the Sustainable Development Goals affirmed by the United Nations, where we have hunger, where we have water, where we have environment, where we have gender parity, we have youth, we have industrialization, we have environment, we have named them, there are 17. And all these 17 SDGs, where the UN is revolving around, also cascade down to our very own movement. We must align ourselves to the SDG because they are encompassing and they bring all of us together. Now, in 2032, what do we look like we want to be after 10 years? Is it really 10 years from now? I think the gap has now narrowed down. What do we envisage our movement to be in 2032? And what are we going to do to get ourselves there? Now, there are 7 particular areas that we want the movement to align itself in to be what we want it to be in the year 2032, which is not very far away. We are in 2026. Next year is 2027. We are talking of slightly less than 5 or 6 years ahead to get into 2032. What I'm talking about is something that has been ongoing, but just to let you know what has been happening to reshape this movement as we move in our second century. Now, the first one is a value-based inclusive fellowship of members and their families. We are being called upon that other than just bringing in friends, other than just bringing in colleagues, Wise Men was a serious bound organization that revolved around families. Those of us who have managed to travel far and wide in the movement know very well that some countries do not have the privilege of a YMCA where we meet within YMCA environs, within YMCA boardrooms and rooms. They don't even have the ambience of meeting, maybe in restaurants and things like that. Wise Men in the first world, they meet in members' houses.